So the shack tour of KD4VVC, Scott Gray. So we'll start outside. As far as antennas, first of all, I am fortunate enough to have a 40-foot, and I should have put foot there, Roan 25 tower. Have a tail twister T2X rotator that turns a Cushcraft A4S antenna, which originally was a tri-band antenna, but I have added a 40-meter kit to it, so it covers 10, 15, 20, and 40. At the very top of the tower, I have a VHF UHF antenna. It's a Workman UVS 200. That's an 8-foot fiberglass enclosed antenna. I have 3 wire antennas. I have an Alpha Delta DXCC dual band trap dipole that covers parts of 40 and parts of 80, mainly set down more to the digital area. I have a Radio Waves 4-band fan dipole that covers 6 meters, 12 meters, 17, and 30. And I have a homebrew 160-meter dipole, which I set in the middle of the band. If you do have room to put one up, you probably want to go lower than that. I need to take it down and make some adjustments. So kind of hard to get all that into a picture, but this is kind of the best I could do to give an overall view of the house and the tower. But so you see the tower. There's the beam and the VHF UHF antenna at top. I do have 2 outriggers to support the center of my 160 dipole and the 80-40 dipole. And then from trees in the backyard, I just have my fan dipole supported just at the ends there. All right. Some pictures. Just kind of give you an overview of my installation. So my shack, this is what we're looking at is the back of the garage and bonus room, and my shack is in the bonus room right there by those 2 windows. All right, let's talk about tower coax and RF grounding. So all coax shield is grounded at the tower base. After that, I have all my coax looped after shield grounding to encourage lightning to go to tower. Of course, if any of you have done any research into what you should do to protect your station from lightning, you'll find out that there's a million different ideas, theories, and everything else. But one of the ones I was using said that lightning would choose a straighter path over a longer path or a curved path most of the time. You know, there again, they had some research to back it up. So I did it. It didn't really cost me a lot. So I've looped my coax after that to encourage it to go into that tower, into the grounding I have on the tower. After that loop, each coax then goes into its own ice brand lightning arrestor. My arrestors are attached in a unit to 8-foot copper grounding rod. I then have that coax going into a remote coax switch. So I only have 2 runs of coax going into my shack, one for HF and one for VHF UHF right now. Each tower leg is grounded to their own individual 8-foot rods. I have a 2-inch copper strap that is mechanically bonded to each tower leg, and the strap runs straight to those grounding rods. They're brazed and also mechanically bonded to the rods, and then they are also then linked together with a copper underground. I have a grounding bus in my shack, basically a copper pipe that has a 1-inch braid that then comes back out of the shack. And I have about a 10-foot or so loop of copper strap that is buried into the ground with another ground rod there at the house to try to get as much contact to the ground as possible. I was concerned with stray RF, given that my station is so far above ground, and so far it's worked well. So I'll give you some pictures here. These are the clamps that are used to ground the shield of the coax to the tower. So these stainless steel clamps mechanically bite into the tower, and then there's a chassis mount. I guess it's a SO239 chassis mount, I think is what it's called. Basically, it's like a long female connector that allows that braid on the shield to be grounded to those clamps. So each coax has one of those, and I'll try to give some pictures later, show my curving. Anyway, another view of some of those clamps, and of course my tangle of wire that's holding, or a cord that's holding my dipoles up. So there's the loops of coax I mentioned to you. They come into some waterproof boxes. You see, I do have two. When I added my dipole, I did not have enough room to add the another lightning arrestor in there, so I brought it up here like so. So each of the coaxes come in, they go to a lightning arrestor. ICE does make this mounting bracket that allows you to mount the lightning arrestors into a cluster that is secured on top of the ground rod. And I then have up above there, I have another one of those brackets that is just attached with copper cabling down to the ground rod as well. So so far I have lost I think 3 antennas now to either static or lightning. Had them damaged. I have yet to have anything in the shack damaged. So I think it's working. And I did, I think I've got a better picture here, but this one does show the, you can see the copper straps coming off the legs. Again, I've tried to run it straight. Again, I don't know if it's really true that lightning likes straight paths, but that is the deal that I've gone with. Any questions about outside? All right. So my shack, it's a bonus room. It's multi-use and multi-hobby. I got a fairly compact station. I basically have it limited to basically one desk with a piece of plywood cabinetry that I built, which basically gives me a wider desk and a shelf to hang stuff from and place on top. I do find that cable management is a challenge, as I'm sure a lot of you have as well. And I'll show the dirty secrets behind my desk later. So I'll kind of give a rundown of the equipment that's in my station. I have a Jetstream JTPS 45 amp power supply, Super PowerGate PG40S. Of course, I do have a station battery to run on if I need to. I use a Rig Runner 4012 for power distribution. For UHF, VHF, I have a Yaesu FT8800. My HF radio is an ICOM 7600. I'm fortunate enough to have an older amplifier, the Kenwood TL922A, that has been modified to allow it to do what the TL922 would, which would cover 10 meters as well. I have a MFJ dummy load watt meter, SWR meter to help with tune-up with the amplifier. I have to have because the 7600 won't key that older radio on its own, I do have a device from Ameritron to key the amplifier for me when I key up the radio. I have an MFJ 998 IntelliTuner. It'll handle 1500 watts. It's typically the Maxigo obviously is about 1000 watts, if ever. I have a Ameritron remote coax switch. I have of course, the rotator controller for the tail twister, SignalLink USB. I use a Lenovo Tiny for my desktop for space reasons. And I do have double monitors. And I also, you may have noticed in the tower pictures, I have a Pete Brothers Ultimeter 2000 weather station, and I have a variety of modules on it. And I do report, have a Raspberry Pi server running a freeware community source software called WeWix. and it'll report the data to a number of things, you know, whether it be APRS or any number of sites, but I report mine to Wonderground, and my station is KTN Brent 59. So here's a shot of my station, and like I say, again, multi-use room. So you got the TV off there to the side, you got reloading bench over there to the right, but part you're interested in the middle. So again, I have a fairly small oak desk for some storage and all, and I got a piece of cabinetry I built to give me room to spread out on, and I have so I have my HF radio to the right there. And one thing I did mention is I do have a USB CW keyer as well that I do use from time to time, as I'm not a CW operator yet. I have some external speakers mounted on top of the underside of the shelf. That's where my 8800 is, which you can kind of see just the yellow display there. And I also have my Tiny all the way to the left, suspended underneath the shelf. And of course, going from left to right, you know, see the power supply and the weather station display, and my Dave Matthews tube lamp. Then there's the IntelliTuner, my rotator controller, remote coax switch. You'll see the dummy load to the left of the amplifier. The big gray box is my amplifier. Then off to the right of that is my amplifier keyer and signal link. So and I didn't spruce up for the pictures. I left the junk where it was just so you get the real idea. So you know, any flat surface does collect junk, including OC spray. So power supply and lamp. This is the super power gate, and there's my rig runner. There's the micro ham keyer in my 7600. Oops. This is the Kenwood amplifier, and got some little notes there to tell me about where things need to be as we're tuning it. And there's the MFJ IntelliTuner, which I have to say has been rock solid. I have not had an issue. There's probably some faster and quieter automatic tuners out there. This thing does a lot of grinding and clicking, but it works, and the price was right. So I don't hesitate to get one if you need it. The Tel Twister controller and the Ameritron coax switch. And this switch has worked great, and it definitely saves a little bit of mess coming into the shack. And it also allowed me to have a smaller hole into the house. I have a 2-inch PVC pipe that comes through the brick into a weatherhead that goes down the wall. So I'm kind of limited with the number of cables I can bring in and out. So it definitely gave me much more room there. Just a little close up of my Lenovo Tiny. I run my logging software and Ham Radio Deluxe and WinLink and everything on. Okay, so again, to get in behind, I have my station on furniture skid pads so I can pull it out. So here's the ugly truth behind there. I do have things bundled. I do have them secured off with wire tie everywhere that I can where it's practical, but I just can't seem to make it any neater. But I do have my station battery back there, have all my cables and all. And come have a little look. And I do apologize, I'm not consistent here. I had covered my amplifier back up before I took this picture. All right, well, going to my Go kit. I have a Gator case mounted kit. This is not a lightweight kit. It definitely has quite a bit of weight to it, but I have a Jetstream 30 amp power supply, ICOM 7000 with the LDG tuner, Signal Link USB, I have a Yaesu FT8800 with and also using a SCS tracker TNC. The kit has a USB hub, a rig runner, an AC power strip built in it, and external antennas. And I have a accessory drawer where I keep, the manuals for my radios and things that I might need to refer back to. And not going to be shown is an old Lenovo T410 solid state drive laptop that I use with it. So it's just a 6U narrow case, so it's not the deep case. So it's a little tight in there, but things laid out so. And there's the back showing the rig runner and the USB hub. I do have a GPS in there, a puck in there as well. Was go ahead and color QRP and soda rig. So I have a Elecraft KX3, the protective case for that. Got a Soda Beams band, 4-band band hopper link dipole, LNR, InFeds trail-friendly antenna. I have one of the Hawaii Emergency Group Matchbox antennas. I have an Alpha antenna, easy military vertical antenna that works on all bands. And I saw Tim Kreth isn't here, but I added this for him, his benefit. The Australia killer there. And also had not shown is going to be an Outbacker vertical antenna. Use a Stark power battery like RJ does there with it's a 12 volt 9 amp hour battery using one of the backpack caps, and have a variety of connectors for it. There's a kit that Hardened Power System sells that holds the battery and has a number of very useful accessories for the power poles. Have a Power Film 30 watt 12 volt solar panel, Buddy Pole Power Mini charge controller and meter, gives you all your stats on the rates you're charging at and using power, etc. Got a SunGuard charge controller, Soda Beams 10 meter travel mask, and Soda Beams drive-on mask car stand. So obviously wouldn't take all this stuff out at any one time, but kind of a little synopsis of my lighter weight kit. Do this stuff in parks. I also take several pieces of this with me when I go to Colorado up in the mountains. Works out pretty well. And stay in the kit. So that is the end of my show. Does anyone have any questions?
I just want to make a comment about the Hardened Power Systems backpacks. They're actually made in Pulaski, so support your local business. The older one I have was milled out of that white plastic stuff, and the newer one Scott has is they 3D print them so they don't have any waste. So that's the change in them.
Yeah, well, they have a newer model now that actually has USB outlets in the backpack. So they've got one even newer than this one now.
Okay, cool. But yeah, they're in Pulaski, so support your local business.
They actually make other products as well. They have this thing called a juice box, which is a self-contained power supply with the voltmeter, the Anderson power pole charging connectors, a built-in AC charger. They've got a lot of options in addition to the backpacks.
Yep. And I mentioned 4-band, this Soda Beam antenna there. In that pack, I also have a arborist weight and some cord, but that's the 4-band link dipole that will cover 20, 30, 40, and 80 meters. They work great. So if I was going to get any of those antennas, I only have one, that would be the one I would have. All right, well, that is my shack. So
hey, Scott.
Yes, sir.
Will you go back to your base of your tower on the outside, that slide, for a moment?
Sure.
And what I'm curious about is, well, maybe it's there. Your remote antenna switch.
Mhm.
So we see the switch on the inside. Where does the switching actually happen to get it down to that one or two coax that come into the shack? Is that where it's happening right there?
Yeah, you see that black box there?
Yeah.
So that's the switch.
Ah,
So it's basically attached in there, and I don't know, you can see the coaxes going up. So basically, it has what, 6 connections or 7 SO239s at the bottom of it.
okay.
So your antenna's connecting to that, and your output coax connects there. So the switch is happening here. So it's got electromechanical relays in there that
Okay.
that make the connections as you select it.
Okay, good. Thank you.